So during this pre-launch phase, when you start calling people and say you're going to do something special, over the next 90 to 120 days, you're going to change your life and you're going to create financial independence, the only thing that's going to stop that from happening is you. Circumstances are irrelevant. Then you get to go to the conclusion. You can tell a story about what you guys built and what you did. And you got to help your team and you to get off to a fast start. You see, when we do these meetings, I take immense pride in it. I'm a fierce competitor. I was actually a Golden Gloves boxer. I know I don't look like that anymore. I'm a little more like a sumo wrestler now.
You're just the cutest.
All right, I'll take that. But guys, and when you start to think about what we're here to do, you can't wait. You know, Darren, you know Canada is at negative 20% for the start of this year? 20%. Last year, our zone did about 35%. Congratulations for doing that. We're like 4 years consecutive. But Canada's at 20% year to date. You might go, well, it only started 3 weeks ago. I don't care. That is how games are won. They're won in the winning, not in the losing. You know, and it's down 20%. Now our zone's down is at 5.4. Hey Trent, last week, Patrick's zone did 50,000 in APV for all of Eastern Canada, the whole zone. Cassie, my daughter, and I know many of you did this, did almost 20,000. My SL daughter almost beat half a country. Why am I sharing this with you? You can't leave here and start next week. You need to leave here and start tonight. Yeah, but Ray, it's going to be after 9 o'clock. And you have people that will take your call after 9 o'clock. And if you don't, you're not very nice to people, and you should start being nicer to people. That's your problem. Well, that's got to be a little more nice than right? Yeah, that's right. So you got to get out to a fast start, and it's got to start today, guys. No question about it. A successful plan of 90-day weekly, daily schedule. You have to schedule everything. Everything has to be scheduled. Goals are interesting, but most of them are boring. My daughter Cassie was talking about how come June, she wants to make sure she's paid all last year's taxes and this year's taxes. I said to her, Troy, that's a shitty goal. Now, for some of you guys, well, that's a pretty good goal. No, it's boring. That's not exciting. You don't jump out of bed and go get to pay taxes. You don't do that. I said to her, I go, I got a better goal for you, Cass. She goes, what's that? I go, make 100,000 extra in Q1. Because then those taxes are irrelevant. She's focused on something that's no fun and crappy. Making an extra 100 grand would be fun and exciting, right? You see, guys, we do this all the time. I did a talk years ago when I first sold my business before I came to Combine. It was a group of women in an MLM. And it was a goal-setting meeting. And their goals were like, I want to have my visa this year. My husband really wants a new shed. So I can get enough lumber money. Could you imagine for me if somebody's like, yeah, let's go change your shed. You get it? It was just, there was nothing exciting about it. So when you're setting out your weekly targets, and I expect that everybody should commit to 5,000 a week in APV. Troy, you'll remember this. When I talked to you when we were doing that kind of field recruiting talk, and I said, you know, if you could get the field recruiting bonus, which we don't have anymore, but if you could get that field recruiting bonus, what would you do with it? You remember that talk? And Trent said, well, I'd get a new gun safe. It's good to say. But the point is, I kept attaching it to what he wanted to purchase. Why? The money isn't important to Trent. It's what he could do with it. Just so you know, none of you work for money. Don't kid yourself. You work for trips, houses, churches, community, your children, Derek, snowmobiles. Expensive machines are free. You know, but you guys understand, you work for something you want, not something you need. Get it? So you got to articulate this. So I said, Ange, you got to get everybody on your team to commit to $5,000 a week. Yeah, but Ray, they've never done $5,000 a week. I don't care. I never sold insurance before I did. Before you were born, you didn't breathe, but you worked it out. Right? It's like you got kids and they're walking around the table and they fall down and you go, shit, get that kid a walker, they ain't gonna make it. Right? I'm just trying to articulate the facts to you. And the facts are, you can do anything. The only thing you can't do is the thing you say you can't do. That's the only thing you cannot do. So if I say, Ange, get everybody on your team, they need to do 5,000 APD, we know that's about 3,500 in gross commission. Now the conversation is, what would they do with 3,500, right, Trent? That's what the conversation was. So Ange, if I can help you make that extra $3,500 a week, more than what you made last year, what would you do with it? Well, I'd pay off my credit card. Okay, well, when you pay off your credit card, what would you do then? Well, I could save money. I could help my mom. I could send my kids to a private school. Now we're getting to the root of it. You see, guys, you'll do those things way more than anything else. So you need to be clear about it. You need to put everything in your calendar. Absolutely everything. You got to build and maintain relationships with your team, customers, and potential recruits. We are in the relationship business. You know, you've all heard the, business to business, business to corporation. I had a new one for you. It's called H to H, human to human. We live in a society that doesn't give a shit anymore about customer service. So I say shit a lot. I'm really sorry about that. I used to be an auto mechanic, so I used to say the F word a lot, so I'm really upgraded. But guys, honestly, we really do. And I said to the group earlier, and I'll say it to you, you see that logo in the corner? That's not your brand. You are your brand. Combined is a brand you sell for. You are the brand. You are the most important person in every transaction, every recruiting interview, every one-on-one. Everything you do represents you as a person. So you got to be honest and integrous and treat people right and build relationships. You people that don't do barbecues and meals and social events with your people, yeah, but I only have 2 people. Perfect. 2 people's perfect. Start there. I use the example of Haley. She's doing her 90-day blitz before you got started, and she texts all her people because she's 20 and they don't know how to actually speak to their phone. I can still speak to my phone. It actually works. But she texted them and she said, hey, listen, Ange, I'm going to have a meeting with just 2 people Sunday morning at 10 o'clock, and I want you to be one of those 2 people. Then Trent, she sent another set of texts to her that says, I'm going to have a meeting with just 2 people, Trent, at 11 o'clock on Sunday. I want you to be one of those 2 people. And she'll spend the whole day having meetings with 2 people at a time. Do you know that makes everybody special, right? You bring them all, herd them into one meeting. People want to feel important. You do. You know you do. You know you do. I don't care who you are, but that's what you do. You've got to build relationships with people. Effectively communicate with your customers, your team, and so on. The number one cause of a transaction not going forward is lack of communication. Is lack of communication. You've got to communicate with people about what you're doing, what you're articulating, what it is you have to do for them. You have to communicate. We're in a communication business, guys. Don't miss it, right? You've got to implement your goals and dreams. I know all of you want to make more money. And I'm not sure if Jerome mentioned it. I mentioned it on the webinar the other day. Darren, my plan is, Trent, Troy, you guys over there, Derek, Tony, Ange, Jason, all the leaders in the room, Jackie, and so on. Please, if I didn't mention your name, I love you. I just didn't see your patient. But guys, listen for a second. I want us to pay my zone, Darren, $100 million this year in commission. Now, could you even imagine 5 years ago a leader saying that? You'd be like, $100 million? Who the hell's going to get that? Right? 100 million, and it's a simple math equation, Trent. It's about 1.2, 1.3 million new face would pay this zone $100 million. Who wants a piece of $100 million pie? Okay, of course you do, right? How do you get a piece of it? We got to have massive action in January, not in March. March is too late to have it happen this year. You know that, right? You're a quarter behind. So we can't wait that long. So you got to be willing to implement your goals and dreams. The challenge goes back to what I said earlier. You've got to stay uncomfortable long enough to see the results of the discomfort. And most of us just won't do it. It's easier to go back to your old life. Hey, you know what I learned about your old life? It's always taking you back. No matter how long you leave your old life, it'll take you back. Your old job, your old friends, your old situations, your old kind of ways of thinking, it'll take you back. You don't want to go back. Trust me. Be very clear. I want you guys to take just about 2 minutes and just write down what you really want to get from today's session. You probably already got some things. This is page number 1. You're way ahead of me. So page number 1. And just write down 2 or 3 that you'd like to get from today. You guys just take 1 or 2 minutes to do that. All right, anybody want to share? 1 point. Somebody? Yes. Great, clarity. One of the ones we got this morning as well. And clarity is something we're all looking for. Somebody else, great. Yes? Time management. And I mean, guys, it isn't complicated. It's just something you just have to do. And if you don't color code your calendar, and you don't put everything in your calendar, there's nothing to manage. It is really that simple. The challenge is getting habitual about it, right? Somebody else want to share? Yeah?
Momentum.
What was that?
Momentum?
Momentum, absolutely. Guys, that's one of the biggest things people don't understand in business. I'll tell you a little secret. I was telling to, goodness, some of Angie's people in Edmonton, but there was a group I was explaining to today about business. And Darren, I don't know if you guys know this or not, that business is, if you can get 5 consecutive years of growth, you go into like a tipping scale, and it'll take care of itself for 10. But here's the problem. If in the 4th year, which is this year, of growth, consecutive growth, we don't grow at the same pace, the 5-year clock starts again next year. This is actually a scientific business fact. I didn't make that up. If you historically research businesses, they can bust through the 5 consecutive years, the next 10 years take care of themselves. Because there's enough leadership, development, maturity to keep it moving. Right? So that's why this is so important. So momentum is a major proponent of what we want tonight. I just got on my flight's delayed, so we can stay till midnight. Some of you guys went, I hope you're kidding. And then there's other ones that said absolutely. There's a guy named Hubert Humphrey that was the founder of WFG, worked for Primerica. Anybody ever hear that guy speak? Horrible public speaker. And try and get what Hubert would do. He'd bring like this many people in the room, Ange, and he'd start talking, and he'd keep talking until there was 10 people left in the room. About 16 hours. And then he'd go, I finally found my leaders. Do you know how many people that guy made hundreds of millions of dollars for. One of the guys that are still there that he mentored, a guy named Swan, makes $15 million-ish a year. Because he stayed in the meeting. And he mentored him because he stayed in the meeting. You guys that were at the convention, how many people bought tickets for 2018 already? Good for you. I gotta actually really recognize Tony and Ange. Their team bought 301 tickets for 2018. What I didn't mention when we did that pre-purchase deal is that there's 40 people that I'll be mentoring for the next 120 days. Only those 40 people. If you bought tickets for 2018, you're now in a mentorship program I'm rolling out at January 15th. We get an email there. And guys, I didn't put that as part of it because I wanted people to buy tickets because the event was great. 2018, we're going to be back in Vegas at Planet Hollywood. We're actually doing it in the Planet Hollywood Theater. If you guys even understood some of the guys heard today, some of the guests that'll be there, I mean, the people I'm working with, I'm well connected to musicians and actors and stuff. It's going to be pretty cool next year. And there'll be a couple thousand people there next year. Yeah, sorry, it's 2018. Yes, thank you. I don't get out much. But that's, yeah, so we'll keep going. So, guys, momentum, and that's what the whole purpose of this meeting is. So, how do we do it? The 3 points I'm going to go through, go over the next page, or one I'm going to write some notes. This is the most important one of the 3 I'm going to go through. Developing your skill set. I got to commend Darren Smith. And the 2 times I've been to his office, he's the only guy that could have his guy stand out and recite everything in our company. From the success principles and everything in between, he's the only guy that can do that. And I'm not knocking anybody that can, but there's a huge testament to confidence. You know that competence and confidence are married. If you feel incompetent, you'll never find your confidence. You might get it temporarily, but not permanently. So my recommendations on the develop success skills starts with you mastering your presentation. So here's some homework starting today. Spend an hour a day until you've mastered your presentation doing it in the mirror. Or for your spouse. An hour a day. If you've mastered your presentation, like so many people in this room, then you don't need to do that. But if you're unclear, so if you do 10 appointments and 9 close, you've mastered your presentation. If you do 10 appointments and 6 or less close, your presentation isn't right. That's the truth. So you need to master your presentation. That's number 1. See, I didn't have sales school when I came into this company or came into this industry. They gave you a book, told you to go pass the test, and then you went out and tried to close stuff. So you just failed, right? So I bought a book called The Secret of Closing a Sale by Zig Ziglar. Everything I ever learned about selling I learned in that book. Because I love our training process, but you don't learn shit in sales school. Right? Tell me you walked out of sales school and go, I got this. Just give me a big blue, I got it. You want to see eye quality? Let me tell you about it. True or false? You walked out of school and went, what the? What? This book is so heavy. It's a little bit like my anxiety. Right? Because I know that's the way it is. Darren, you'll remember, we had a bunch of guys in Toronto, what, about a year ago, year and a half ago, and James was there, and Leah, and I forget what it was, it doesn't matter. And the consensus was that sales school is high-level information, but it isn't teaching. It's too quick, too much, right? That's why I'm recommending Zig Ziglar, because you can listen to that all day long. Everything I learned about selling, and guys, with all due respect to the very good salespeople in this room, I can sell. I remember this guy, Jimmy Meyer, saying, I'm the best sales guy in the room. And I went, no, you're not, I am. immediately in my mind. But he is the best sales guy because he's as good as I am. Taylor can sell as good as I can. Trent, there's no question you can sell as good as I can. But as far as I'm concerned, I can sell everybody. But could I when I started? Based on my 18 months of $200 commission, I'm going to say that I was probably not so good at it. Right? And it wasn't until that moment with Eponine that I immersed myself, Tony, in the business, where I became a student of the business. I started reading. I hate reading. I quit high school because I didn't want to read. Right? I mean, I just hated everything about it. So I started reading a page a day, and then got audiobooks. Oh, I loved audiobooks. I could do that all day long. As you have to immerse yourself in becoming great. What did Hector Lamarck say, Darren? About that?
Well, what I remember what he said was basically just focus on basic skill building. That's
Yeah.
what it is, basic skill building.
On how to sell.
Continues to do 20 years later.
Isn't that what he said, Darren? Yeah. Do you guys know by definition the difference between a professional and an amateur? A professional gets paid. That's it by definition. So who wants to be a professional in this room? Jerome over there. Jerome, how many hours has your son, who's a competitive swimmer, world, national competitive swimmer, puts into training?
25, 30 a week for the last 15, 20 years. 16 years.
Yeah. And you guys won't put an hour a day to become a professional. Get it? Brian Bickle, who was one of our guest speakers in Orlando, 3 Stanley Cup rings, and I think people were pleasantly surprised about how much he got from the very short, he's not a professional speaker, he was terrified. I mean, that guy was terrified, right? He's backstage, he was at the airport to the speaker. This Derek spoke before he was out of no man. Anyways, if you guys listened to his story that was there, he talked about at 14 years old, had to move away from his family and go to train. And by the time he was halfway through, he's like, I don't even think this is something I want to do anymore. Because it's tough. I'll paraphrase one of my favorite quotes by Muhammad Ali. He basically said, I hated every minute of training, but I wanted to win way more than I wanted to hate training. See, that was me when I was told I had to read Inch, and then I had to come to all these meetings and show up and be positive and be excited all the time. I'm like, I don't know, I want to be all that, right? But I didn't want to be broke way more. I didn't want to say no to my children way more. See, in life, you're going to get no's or give no's. You choose. I was willing to take a bunch of no's, so I never had to say no to my children. And I'm not saying my kids are spoiled. If you know them, you know they're not, because they work their asses off. Haley and Cassie both work 60, 70 hours a week to work in this company, in this industry. My daughter Eponine, that's a screenwriter, she has a short going in Toronto Film Festival this year. I'm very proud of her that she's written, directed, and produced. Well, I produced it. The family one. It's Irish Mafia, huh? Irish Mafia is just a bunch of drunk guys at a pub, just so you know, they're not dangerous. But guys, honestly, I mean, and they work so hard to be successful, but they don't have to work. They are financially independent in the right that if they need something, want something, I will write a check. Right? But that's not how we live our life. And it's a family business. See, at the convention, my kids were there on Sunday morning assembling trophies. They don't work for this company that way. They're independent contractors like you. They spent their whole Sunday, 14 hours, helping set up that event. It's a family business. My daughter Eponine, who's not in this company, who's a screenwriter, she also has a background in photography and production. For those who were backstage there, if you saw it, it was like a live performance stage production. Right? I mean, how do you think we do all that, Ange? I have somebody who has a university degree that lives in my house. Anyway, so she's there, and I know some of you guys heard the story. Our dog got really sick. And on the day of the convention, it's really her dog. It's a family dog, but it's her dog. Who lived with her since she was 10. And she had to fly home And we're rearranging the flight so she could go home. So before she did, she doesn't work for this company, guys. She put on her combined shirt. Came to the meeting. Made arrangements with Cassie's boyfriend to run all the photography, all the GoPros that were all set up around the room, capture everything, to give all the list of things she was supposed to do to him. All the while she's backstage crying because our dog had a seizure. She got home after 4 hours of flight delays, got the dog out of the hospital the next day. And while I was at the e-agent meeting, she called me and I said, Cap, I think it's time we're going to have to put him down today. And just when I was leaving the e-agent meeting, she called me and said, Dad, he's not breathing. I came home to my 24-year-old daughter, called her on the floor, holding our now passed away dog, crying. But she still supported our company. She's a devout animal lover. Everything in her. She's an animal rights activist. She's a vegetarian because she will not eat meat because of her rights. Not because she doesn't want to, because she doesn't like what happens to the animals. Why am I sharing that with you? She doesn't work here. She's never going to work here. She's never going to get paid a dime from this company. And she showed more of a commitment than some of the people that this will change their life. That's what I'm sharing it with you. You know, guys, life is short, and you know, you want to give everything you got to stuff that's important. You know? And this isn't important to her. It drives her crazy when me, Cassie, and Haley are at a dinner and all they do is talk about appointments and apps and who they're closing and all that crap. And that will go, for the love of God, can we talk about a movie? You know? And guys, I'm just sharing that with you because you gotta check yourself. Where's your commitment? You know, I watched her care for that dog like somebody taking care of a parent. She moved herself into our living room because he was enabled and slept on the floor with him for 7 nights straight. Like, didn't leave his side. And one night told me she wanted to go to a movie. She was like, can you home tonight? I want to go out for one night. Do you take care of Preston? Super proud of the values my children have learned. And I'm more proud that I didn't teach them. I showed them by the things I choose to do for others. Off of for the next 90, 120 days, if you choose to, right? So we talked about this and the counterization, but what it really looks like. If you want to find 100 people, 30 of them will play. That's just the way it works. I'm sorry. There's, 150 people in this room, and I know the numbers that at the end of the day, I could pour my heart and soul into you, and God knows I would if I thought you could handle it. I'm one of the most passionate people you will ever meet in your life. I love life. I love people. I just love knowing I can make a difference for one person today. It means more to me than anything. My purpose, my mission, my God-given mission is to help more families become financially independent than any one single person. I just want to be that guy so bad, Tony. That's my dream. When I die, I don't want it to say, here lies Ray Young, potential intact. Never took a chance. I want it to say, here lies Ray Young, used up, done. Lived his life to his fullest, gave back as much as a person could. So, whether you believe me or not, maybe you should take advantage of that. Because I believe that's what God put me on the earth for. You know, I don't talk a lot about my spiritual beliefs because it's not the right thing to do in mixed company, but they're devout, which gives me a conscience. That's all I can tell you. Believe, don't believe, at least it causes me to have a conscience. Because I'm not worried about your judgment, that's for sure. I'm worried about the other one. So guys, you have to understand that I know the numbers, but do I believe the numbers can be beat? Yes. Do I believe all 140 people could leave here today and do something special this week to put Canada back on track? Yes, I do believe it. You know, Ange, what I used to do in my previous business, at about 7 p.m. on Friday, I'd send out a message to 10 of my leaders to say, I'm having a meeting at 2 a.m. in my office. I want everybody there. You know, 300 people would show up at 2 a.m.? Kind of like what Hubert Humphrey did. Why do you think I did it? Because I knew who was in then. And they all came because I had announced some crazy contest. Like, okay, anybody that does 5,000 premium goes to Switzerland. I'm not making that announcement right now. But I did that. Actually, Dana Granger, that some of you know, that's on RJ's team, she won that trip to Switzerland. I did it all the time. All the time. Because I wanted people to know that, yeah, I may be crazy and I may do things that are unusual, but I want to do things that are unusual so you realize you're part of something different. You know what I mean? And that's what it comes down to. So guys, these are some key, really important components. The first thing here is you got to take inventory of what you have. And the number thing you got to do is identify the willing. Who do you have in your circle, whether in your business, Susie, or not, who's willing? And, you know, I come from the MLM world, you know, like the Amways of the world and all that crap. And they always say you're one recruit away from an explosion. You know, one recruit, man, you're going to change your world. That's a pile of crap, too. That's not a thing. You're never one recruit away from an explosion. Or are you? It's you. The day you become a better version of you, your business grows in direct proportion to you being better. See, all those MLMers, all those guys that do all that training, they forgot to tell you that you are the most important recruit you will ever have in your life. You need to start with you. So question to all of you, and I don't need your hands to come up because most of them will be lying. Are you willing? Are you willing? And I got to tell you, for 90% of the room, you put your hand up because you're here and you don't want to be embarrassed that you didn't. You're not willing. You're not willing to be out late at night. You're not willing to have your friends judge you and make fun of you. You're not willing to get uncomfortable and cold canvas and prospect. You're not willing to knock a door. You're not willing to go business to business. You're not willing to work assignments and lead cards. You're not willing. You think you are, but you're not. You need to check that and fix it. See, the reason why I only made $200, Derek, that first 12 to 18 months, you know the story in depth. There's some logistical reasons for licensing reasons. But the truth is I wasn't ready. I wasn't willing. It wasn't until my little daughter taught me that love was more important than fear that I became willing. You got to have a weekly target. To me, I believe every person should target 5,000 APV. Tony Robbins, one of my favorite trainers and teachers, says it's not the power of positive thinking. It's the power of positive question that will lead you to what you're after. So you can go, I'm great, I'm great, I'm great, I'm great, I'm great. Then you have this little trickster in the back of your mind going, bullshit, 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 bullshit. Because you know you. True or false? You ever tried to trick yourself into tell you're awesome, and then yourself reminds you you're not so awesome? It's like that song, I'm awesome, dude. No, don't lie, that one. Anyways, but the point is this. If every single day, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times a day, you say, what can I do today to create $5,000 in production and make a difference for my family? Where can I be? You guys know I use a mantra. I'll be in all the right places at all the right time for the betterment of all. I've been saying that mantra, Trent, 100 times a day for 2 decades. I will be at all the right places at all the right time for the betterment of all. You know what that means? Just that things will be better. That's all. That's all, guys. Sylvia Buller-Isaac, who's our other guest speaker in Orlando, said one of my favorite things I've heard somebody say. She has a pretty profound story. But she said, she goes, it's the challenges of your life, right? All those things, the bad things that happen in your life, that will become fertilizer for your growth. See, we spend so much time being resentful, angry, not so happy about what happened that we forget that it was actually a gift. You know? And it's just, guys, you need to understand that. And it's so, so true.